Welcome to Seat Time, everybody. Brian Pierce here. It is episode 64, Tuesday night. I want to say, if my brain is anywhere near correct, that it's November 20th, 2012. I think that's a pretty good guess. What is going on? It's Tuesday evening. Thursday is actually Thanksgiving, so it's kind of a holiday episode, but because of the fact that it's not actually happening on Thanksgiving, it's a pseudo-holiday episode, so whatever. Lots of stuff going on in the off-road world as we kind of cap up the year. There's a couple more races for more local stuff, but with Baja and Endurocross going on, lots of things to talk about, Roof of Africa and some other jazz like that. But what is much more pertinent and much more awesome about all the stuff that goes on is the fact that I have a guest this evening with me is Mr. Brian Elliott. So, one, of course, as I always like to find out from my guest, Mr. Brian Elliott, how is your evening going, kind sir?
Just magical. Just hanging out and talking to my boy Brian. So I can't really think of anything better to be doing.
I'm not gonna say that there's not better things to be doing, but at the same time, there probably aren't worse things to be doing. So I mean, you're talking to me on the internet. We're hanging out. Your wife's home alone. So that's awkward for some of us. But we deal. I might have lost you there, so we're gonna figure it out. I'm gonna keep going and see if you pop back up. Totally lost Brian Elliott. That's okay. I'm pretty sure he's going to call me. I'm going to keep going. Show has to go on, folks. So one of the things that did happen this past weekend was the Baja 1000. So we know that JCR won and that we had a problem mechanical that actually happened with the Kawasaki team, the THR team that Destry Abbott was on, David Pearson and a couple other guys. They were riding really well. Everybody was up close and personal with the top three teams that everybody was looking at with KTM, Kawasaki, and Honda. But unfortunately, they had a mechanical right before one of the checkpoints and had to bow out. And so while they had to bow out, we had KTM coming in behind them, coming in behind Honda, trying to catch up to the JCR team. And it's very unfortunate that Quinn Cody broke his femur, actually. So that is definitely not the way that you want to, end your year. And your Baja, KTM was really trying to flout the fact that they were going to have a phenomenal year. They trying to win the 250, the 500, the 1000, and really knock it out of the park. Well, unfortunately, that's not the way that it went down. It sounds like everybody rode great, but Kurt Caselli, being the man that he is, jumped on the bike when they caught up and found out that Quinn was okay to make sure they just wanted to, they wanted to finish. Once they found out he was stable, they kept going. They came in second. Obviously, Kawasaki guys DNF, so it's unfortunate for them. And we had guys like Mike Browner on the KTM team, and then we had guys like Destry Abbott that jumped on planes and flew into California same day as they just got off the bike for like 8 hours, and then either drove or flew into Las Vegas. And from there, they were there for the Endurocross finale. So they had two mains on Saturday. There's tons of crazy stuff going on. It was really cool because of the fact that they had the webcast live on live online. I mean, there's endurocross.com/live. Boom, there it was. You could find it. It was really neat to see because of the fact that what we were trying to do, when I went to Loretta Lynn's and did the GNCC race there with Racer Productions, that's what we were trying to create. We were trying to create, the feeling that you were there, but at a little bit more of a down-to-earth kind of personality. You could hang out. You could watch some of the racing that's going on. You could listen to some of the banter back and forth between me and some of the other guests and things like that, or some of the other hosts that are there. And I think that they did a really, really good job, considering the fact that it was their first time. The host, Dano and the other dude, they had kind of done some things before. I think his from Dirt Rider was the other guy. He obviously, being from Dirt Rider, is probably more in the spotlight than the guy Dano is, but you could totally tell that Dano was like a bro-cal dude. Like, he said a lot of sweets, sounded like a surfer. Didn't have ton of information correct, but that's okay. That's why they had his co-host there from Dirt Rider, so I think it worked out. But hopefully Brian Elliott gives me a call back here in a second so we can get him back on, because I know that he had an amazing adventure while he was there in Vegas. Actually, let's just do it. You know what? Whatever. This is the internet. We're live. That's okay. It happens. I'm gonna go ahead and text Brian and see if we can get him back on. I'm telling him to call me back. So, but what did I do this weekend, man? It wasn't really that much. I wish that I could say that I did more racing. I did not do very much racing, unfortunately. They did have a Toro, which was in Alvarado, Texas. I honestly don't even know where Alvarado is. I saw that Cole Kirkpatrick wasn't there. I knew that he was trying to do another run, if you will, at a Toro championship. But, as well as trying to make a living right now, filming and he's trying to get better at that and just kind of keep moving and shaking, if you will. And so, you got to miss that kind of stuff. You got to miss that kind of stuff. It's just the way it goes. But it's unfortunate. Obviously, the guys who were there, he's saying that his camera is gone again. So no idea what that means. So he might call us back. He might not. I don't know. Hopefully he does, because I don't think I'm going to be nearly as funny as I would be if he wasn't here. But that's okay. I'm going to keep trying to go and see what's... One of the things, another interesting bit from this weekend, I'm going to talk about some of the lesser points just so that way, because I know that Brian's got a lot of good stuff from Vegas we could talk about. One of the things that I thought was absolutely hilarious that I found out probably earlier last week was the fact that David Knight now has his own money. It's the 50 pence coin, I believe, or 50 pound. I don't know, 50px, whatever that is in on the Isle of Man is what David Knight is rocking himself on. He is now on one of their official coins. I think that's absolutely insane. Now, people were saying that David Knight launched his own money. That's obviously a big speculation and nowhere near true. This isn't something that David Knight concocted and he's like, I'm going to make my own money. No, he didn't make his own money. He is, because of the fact that he's such a strong athlete and he's from the Isle of Man, the Isle of Man government asked if they could put him on one of their new coins, and they did, and he said yes, and boom, there it is. Now he's on there. Thought that was quite awesome. I ordered one, so I'm going to see when that comes in, how it's going to go down, and what we can make happen. And then another bit was the fact that the Roof of Africa happened finished up this past weekend. It's like a three-day event, so lots of stuff going on with the Roof of Africa. Obviously, it's a lot of riding. If you watch any of the highlights from that Red Bull puts out, the terrain is very, very varied. Obviously, there's a lot of rocks. There's a lot of hills and things like that. He thinks he broke it. I don't know. This guy, can't do anything with him at all. But Graham Jarvis, the fact that everybody was really thinking that he was going to win again. He's been obviously so dominant and strong and things like that, but he didn't. You know what happened? He got beat by a 16-year-old. Now, I was trying to find more information about this, but just with the life going on, the fact that I have a full-time job, all that kinds of crap still right now, it was quite difficult. But I think that it's really good to see. It's been kind of interesting because we had Chris Birch, who was really kind of the up-and-comer. Then we had Tadej Lazuzak, who was a little bit younger than him, one of the younger trials guys out there. And then we had Graham Jarvis, who he's not very young, but he's definitely a trials guy, his background. And then we've got now kind of this 16-year-old. Or Johnny Walker was one of the other guys that was kind of, really fighting for those positions in the hard enduros. And I thought it was kind of crazy that now it's a 16-year-old that kind of comes out. So it was kind of interesting. I'm going to see really quick if I can get Brian Elliott at least on the phone, and that we can talk to him that way. So I know I honestly don't want to have to stop this just to completely get out of route. So I'm going to see if I can pull up my contacts and make this happen semi-quickly and see where we go from there. Calling his number right now. I'd tell it to you, but he'd probably get really pissed at me if I did that. So we'll see if he answers. I don't know if you guys can hear what I'm hearing right now, but it is ringing. So we're going to see if we can get in touch with Brian Elliott. It's ringing still. Calling him in Idaho. That little monkey better answer his phone. I don't know. What do you guys think? Can you trust him? Sounds like it's still ringing.
Hey, you've reached Brian Elliott. I can't get to the phone right now, so please leave your name and a message, and I'll call you back as soon as possible. Thanks, and have a great day.
At the tone,
I think
Please
we're going to have to
record
leave
your
him a good
message.
message, guys.
When you have
We're gonna have
finished
to leave him a
recording,
really good
you may
message.
hang up or press 1 for
Hey,
more
what's up,
options.
Brian Elliott? Brian Pierce here, just recording seat time, waiting on your ass to get back on the computer. Figure it out. We need to talk. Laters. Don't call me on this phone. It's my Google phone. Text me, and I will hit you back. Peace. So there's that. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Might be able to get back in touch with them. Might not be able to. So, 16-year-old freaking beats Graham Jarvis at the Roof of Africa this past weekend. Chris Birch was up there still. He wasn't in the podium, but he still rode well. I think he's kind of on his way out. It's unfortunate. He's a good rider, but Graham Jarvis as well. I mean, we'll have to see. Is this 16-year-old going to be able to beat him again at the next hard enduro, or is Graham Jarvis just going to take it back? It was just kind of a fluke or whatever. One race, crap happens. I don't know. Another highlight bit that I saw while I was scouring the internet this past week was the fact that the J-Day Off-Road Series, so we know that Johnny Garrour won the 2012 Pro Series. So it seems like John Day wants to kind of branch out and try to grow his series, which I think he should. He has a really good concept, and it seems that it's something that a lot of people would want to focus on. Now, when he takes, I've never been to a race, so I do not know his personal format with being at the race. I mean, he takes this format to more of a national level, especially considering the fact he's going to Florida Saturday. What is it? March 9th. That Saturday before Bike Week or the beginning of Bike Week. There's going to be a lot of people down there, and I think it's going to put a lot of stress on his organization and the people that he has surrounding him, helping him with that organization and the race series. So it's going to be a good testament to see how well he can structure and bring up that organization, and I'm looking forward to it. We actually, I was talking to him earlier today. We were trying to get him on the show. Fortunately, he's been driving all day, so we're gonna have him on next week. Talk to him a little bit about what he's thinking about 2013, how he thinks Florida's gonna go, all that kinds of stuff. We did have the schedule as well come out for the GNCC. It looks like Loretta Lynn's is not going to be the last race of the season this year, or I'm sorry, for 2013. It's actually going to be the third to last season, so they are bringing it back, and now Ironman will be the last one, and it looks like it's going to be at the end of October. So they're not going to branch out into November, so everybody who works with Virtual Productions and is at every GNCC and maybe at a lot of the ATV motocrosses and things like that, they're not going to be as kept up, if you will, into November, so they're going to get at least 3 to 4 months off between races or between series, I guess, to kind of catch back up and work on all the things that they have been working on. Well, I mean, it's unfortunate that we haven't really caught back up with Brian Elliott right now. I know he's still trying to figure things out, but Vegas was really interesting to watch from the webcast perspective. As I said, I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed watching it from the webcast. I know that they went through a very professional company in the sense that they hired them to take over the reins and really run everything for them, and then they would come up with their own host. For being a first run, I thought it was awesome. I thought the host needed a little bit of help, but honestly, I know that I needed a lot of help. Most of the time I needed a lot of help, but I definitely needed help when it came down to being at the GNCC. So that is definitely, you just can't wing it the first time and do it perfect. They did a phenomenal job, and I'm looking forward to it, because if I can watch every race like that, I would be very excited, and I would love to actually help out too and maybe be a part of it. When I was looking at the track, I didn't think it looked all that gnarly, but once everybody got riding and a lot of that water was getting dragged around the track, you could tell that the track was getting very, very difficult, especially the rock section when they had them taking that left-hand turn, and then they were kind of, the rocks were really spaced out, and I think that was catching up a lot of people, and it was just a huge momentum suck. there was nothing good about that part of the track. So it was kind of interesting to see so many top riders kind of going down in those sections and not being able to make it to the main. And if you didn't make it to the first main, you didn't make it to the second main, because they had 2 mains that night. So there was a lot of racing that went on. They had the night race as well between, and that, I'm sorry, but that didn't look like fun. I mean, sure, those lights put off a lot of light, when it comes down to watts or BCUs or whatever the technical term would be of how much light they're putting out. But oh my gosh, there's no way I would want to do that. That is retarded. Those tracks are hard enough as it is. So props to those guys for doing it. Props to Taddy for winning the championship, man. It was pretty neat to see, to be able to watch it. And Brian says he thinks he fixed it. So I'll tell him, call me again. Call me. I don't know. Like Skype. Skype me. Let's see. I'm about to answer his call. I don't know if he's actually there, though. Yeah?
I'm here, and I see you.
Right.
I see you. I don't think you're going to see me, though.
No, you talk, not me talk.
I'm talking. What do you want me to talk about? Talk. Would you like me to go into maybe some freestyle rap lyrics,
okay,
perhaps?
So I've been essentially holding down the show while you have had technical difficulties. So if you go, I've pretty much covered everything, so you're really not that important anymore, except for the fact that I do not know all the behind the scenes of Vegas. I want to know about all the awesome that went down, because, oh my gosh, I know that being there for that racing must have been so freaking awesome. It looks like, following you guys on Twitter and Instagram and all that crap, looks like you and your buddies had a phenomenal trip down. You got to ride in all kinds of cool places, so give us the freaking lowdown. But first, what are you drinking?
Well, tonight I'm drinking one of Mexico's finest of the De La Cruz. It would be the cheapest Mexican beer one could purchase ever. So it's delicious.
Seat time glass.
Urine in a seat time glass. That's pretty much the best way to describe it.
Yeah.
Tastes slightly better.
I like it. Just to be, I am drinking out of my Vita Brevis koozie because I like to say thanks to my friends. And as well, I'm trying this Fox Barrel. It's authentic, natural. It is a pear cider. I don't really know if I'm wussing it up on purpose or I'm just pretending that when it says gluten-free that means it's healthy. I really don't know what to tell you. So that's what I'm drinking. So tell me about what you did in Vegas, buddy.
Well, I will try to recollect as much as physically possible at this point. I think I'm still on the downside of a 3-day hangover. So, yeah. But no, man, it was a good time. We pretty much planned a random adventure. I think last Wednesday, in about 3 feet of snow in Montana, and my good friend Josh Buell from Northern Idaho, he called me and he wanted to go down to Vegas, and so we just kind of put it together real last minute, came up with some ideas, and I left Montana, he left Northern Idaho, we drove back to Boise, picked up my roommate, kept the truck running, threw our dirt bikes in the back, and we drove down to St. George, Utah, where our good friends at Fast Company have their full-on operation going down there, and they invited us to go for a day ride with all the guys from Dirt Rider, and that was kind of the start of the adventure.
Dirt Rider and Fast Company?
Yeah, it was just a wonderful collaboration of awesome. You know, it was just all of our buddies. Jesse Ziegler came down from Climb. Jesse actually grew up in the same town that I grew up in Montana, so we're buddies from way back. And you know, it's just a good group of guys, and a lot of other people came out. The guys from Air Group, from the National Enduro Series came out. Bunch of random people, man, and we did some fun riding. It was Southern Utah, man.
Hell
it's
yeah,
got to be one of the funnest places I've ever rode.
I've never ridden in Southern. I've been to Moab, but that's nowhere near there though, is it?
Yeah, it's real similar. Moab has, you know, you get the rocks and you can ride a lot of those big sheet rocks that are just like house-sized boulders. Yeah, and this was kind of interesting. It was a good mix of that and sand. And so you could be going from riding that, but then you fall in like a crevice and you're in like 4 feet of sand and try to get out of it back up on top.
You know what that feels like.
Within the first 15 minutes, I broke my rear brake off. It was custom. I actually, I wanted to get some practice in riding with no rear brake. So I figured I'd just take the brake off at that point altogether.
Solid idea.
And from there, that became a horrible idea, because when you're riding on top of boulders and rocks and ledges and you forget that you don't have a rear brake, that became a fairly bad idea at the time. So I fell down and hurt myself, but we got back up and had a good day after that.
Dude.
So it was
okay.
fun.
So then you went to Utah. Okay, so from Utah, it seems like you guys had another riding day. Did you guys have another riding day anywhere else, or did you guys from there go into Vegas?
That was kind of our ride, and that we did that all day Thursday. So we drove pretty much all into the night, late Wednesday night, rode all day Thursday. From there, we had to catch the steak and lobster special at the Casablanca in Mesquite. Unfortunately, the Casablanca no longer exists in Mesquite. So the steak and lobster special was not what we did. We just decided to keep drinking and continued on to Las Vegas from that point.
Did you, when you got into Vegas and anything, did you guys do anything special, or did you meet up with anybody, or were you guys just going straight to the Endurocross? Because you guys got there on Friday or Saturday?
We got there Thursday night, actually.
So, yeah, what did you guys do, obviously, then, when you, since you didn't have to go straight to any kind of Endurocrossness?
Well, if I can put all my timetables together and see, because it all kind of blends together at some point. We had the first night, we had quite an adventure planned. Josh Buell and Jason Parsons rode down from Fast Company in St. George together. Jason Parsons is a works racer, off-road racer from Southern California, from Ridgecrest, and he is also the rider rep for Fast Company. So those two drove down together, met us in Vegas. We kind of did the night on the town thing. We went down. Nobody had ever been to Fremont, so we took them down to Fremont. Well, Fremont Street is the Fremont Experience. That's where the giant, TV screens above your head are, and you see the airplanes and stuff. It's pretty much Old Town Las Vegas. If you want to get like a cheap penicillin shot, or like buy some Cheerios from a homeless person, you could do all that at once on Fremont Street. It's pretty much the scariest, ghettoest place in Vegas. On a Thursday night, it just seemed naturally that was the best place to go.
Absolutely. It's a Thursday night. Kids are in school. You got to make sure that you're watching out and not like going someplace they're going to see you. So you go down where the homeless people are.
Yeah, pretty much. And then from there, we kind of have this thing. We've been doing this Vegas Endurocross road trip now. Twice a year almost for the past 3 years, and so we get really creative on what we do. And our theme was the cheapest places we could gamble, like the ghettoest places. So we went into all these casinos that nobody had ever heard of, which really was a pretty awesome time, to be honest. We had a good time.
What is it? National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation? Where,
yeah, pretty much. That's kind of the level of quality we're aiming for. When it comes to the food selection of the buffet, or the game selection of Playing War, or Guess Which Hand It's In. Guess Which Hand It In is one of my favorite games, to be honest.
That's so cool. That's kind of interesting that they would actually have something like that in Vegas. But, you got to run with what you know, I guess.
Yeah, so anyways, no, man, we continued on. The next day, they did day qualifiers all day Friday. We got to bed probably about, I don't know, maybe 4:30 or 5, and then decided to wake up a couple hours later to go down for the qualifiers that didn't start until 1. So pretty sure we ate breakfast and went back to bed at that point.
Once you realized you were up too early, you were like, this is dumb. We need to go back to sleep.
Yeah, well, at some point, the difference between night, morning, day, it all just kind of blends together wherever you're at. So
you're like, oh man, my body clock feels off.
So we had quite the between me, myself, and Josh Buell, who's a lumberjack from northern Idaho. Yeah, Buell's a good guy. I think he brought one change of clothes for the 3 days, so
How many
that
pairs
was
of
cool.
underwear?
And well, that's kind of a different story altogether. I don't know if Josh
Doesn't even
Buell
own
owns a
it.
set of
I
underwear.
mean, if you're going to Vegas,
be
why
honest.
bring them? But
Yeah, so I don't think he'd even mind me saying that on live radio. I don't think he would
I like
one
the
bit.
fact that he doesn't even own underwear. Why would you need it? Is he married, or does he just pick up string?
No, not married whatsoever. No, he's just down there to have himself a good time.
That's
and
not
he's
like a
he's a
pickup
great
line.
guy. We had a lot of fun.
I
Man.
actually come hang out with him because he doesn't wear underwear. I mean, there's a whole other reason why I'd probably want to go hang out with him, But
Well, and as you can imagine, the weekend went on with a bang. We had a great time. Then Friday night rolled around after the qualifying. Again, I think we got back into our room probably about 7 in the morning on Saturday, prior to the racing that started that afternoon as well. So another pretty long night that led into about 2-3 hours of sleep, and then we went straight down. We had some video coverage we had to do, which was awesome, and put together actually a couple different projects for this trip that we were working on. So I'm excited to kind of get those out here over the next couple days, and the racing that took place on Saturday, man, was just incredible. Cody Webb, I couldn't be more proud of the kid. He went out there and he wanted to show the world that he could beat Taddy. He came up a little short, but man, the last lap of the first heat, I mean, it was so neck and neck in that first main event that it was crazy. It was anybody's race in those rock sections, and I'll tell you what, man, the rock section that they made for this race was beyond complicated. There wasn't a rider that wasn't in the pits after practice and after the race saying, we hate this, to the point where they were pretty upset, to where the guys were considering filling in the holes, and then they decided not to fill in the holes, and then it was just crazy. It became straight chaos, man. It was wild.
I was able to watch it through the webcast and stuff like that, and it was actually pretty nuts to watch, and you could tell that one of the big differences was that the rocks seemed to be more spaced out this time, and so it seemed to create a little bit more kind of those little crevices between the rocks, opposed to just the bits where the rocks would typically separate if they were butted up against each other. And it really did. I mean, it was swallowing whole front tires, it was swallowing ankles, it was swallowing rear tires, it was almost swallowing whole bikes. I mean, it was pretty interesting. So that's cool and funny to hear that the riders were just like, you know what? I don't know if I want to do this. This is no fun.
Yeah, and that right there is when you got a successful race, and you can find out that most of the top 10 guys are pretty bummed about the course, or pretty stressed about the course. You got yourself a good race, and that's exact. Yeah, it's exactly right. Like what you said about the law or the rocks. I mean, they, instead of having any sort of rhythm to them whatsoever, they just put big boulder, 2 feet, big boulder. So there was just enough room to where you couldn't really keep the front end light and carry the tire over. It seemed like anywhere your front end touched, it wanted to stay. So it was just really difficult for guys to get all the way through without getting either front or rear stuck. I mean, I don't know how many chains became derailed or how many sparks we saw flying out of that rock pit, but it was cool, man. It was cool to see that. And really, I mean, you'd have a race, normally where you'd have Taddy dominate by a lap. You had what you had, which was a full-on battle pretty much in both races, which is pretty neat.
Of course, we've got Cody Webb doing his little dance after almost winning the second main. So close, losing it on the last lap like that. And but he did his little I'm gonna make fun of Taddy dance afterwards. Did you get to see any of that?
Oh yeah, Cody Webb's been practicing his dance moves now for about 16 years. But I feel like he should have started dancing with the lights on at some point, so he could really show how good his dance moves really were. So I felt like Vegas was a good place for him to debut those, and so he did. I was pretty pumped. I think he has quite the future as a showgirl.
So if nothing else, he knows who to call, and it's not with those moves. It's not Ghostbusters, unfortunately.
Yeah, I mean, straight up. So, yeah, and then, with that, the other kid, the final main of the night, Kyle Redmond. So proud of Kyle Redmond, just an awesome kid, getting up there on that podium as well and rocking it. just it was just such a great atmosphere this race. Max Gierston doing as good as he did, and so the Beta guys did really well. And it's neat to see a program like that Alan Stillwell's running Beta do so well in a series. And it's legitimate. I mean, you talk to Cody or you talk to Max Gierston about those Betas, and they like the bikes. They work really well for what they're using them for. And so it's neat to see that interaction between the team and the riders and the bikes, especially with an off-brand like that. And even, the Husqvarna is kind of the same thing. It's like, here's a little niche where these bikes actually work really well instead of, vice versa in the mainstream racing. You don't quite see them as much. So.
Max Gierston actually runs like the 2-speed or 3-speed transmission like Cody Webb does?
I'm not actually sure. That's definitely something I'd have to ask him. I know Cody was testing out a new top secret Recluse product that I'm pretty excited to test myself and see him play with. That we could probably discuss a little bit.
I don't want to get you in trouble, but at the same time, you're really far away from me. So what do you know about this product?
Well, along the lines of what we talked about last time about being able to, we were talking about adjusting suspension on the fly and the way kind of Wibbly has our bike set up, as far as the team bikes go and whatnot. Recluse has worked on a new product that Cody was testing that, man, it looked pretty neat. It's you can actually adjust that slack or readjust your, I guess I'm trying to figure out the right wording for how Recluse describes it, but your free play in that clutch is now, instead of having to take the cover off to adjust it, they've designed a way you can adjust it on the fly, which is incredible.
Is it,
I guess I didn't peek at it enough. I don't believe it is, but it's still in the one that he had set up on his bike. I don't know. Maybe I'll let that kind of wait until it comes out full on for the public and how it's going to work and what how it is. I'll let you know that I'm definitely excited to start testing with one because where I live, you get such a variance between the sand heading south or the mountains heading north and the trees that you can do a lot of hard work on those auto clutches, and so you really have to be able to adjust them fairly easily. And so it's a step in the right direction, and that's what, in my opinion, Recluse. That's a company that they see an issue right away. They decide to fix it and step up to the plate. So it's neat to see them working on that.
It's actually really interesting to hear about. I had no clue that they were working on a way that you could adjust it on the fly, essentially, from the handlebars. Now, if we're talking about what you would see, a lot of the times we kind of like to go back and forth because of the fact that there's so much high-tech stuff in the mountain bike world. They try to keep everything on your handlebar so that you can adjust it really easily on the fly. If they were to have something like that, it would be interesting if they were to try to do a cable pull, because the cable pull is just your cable's going to go slack, and then you got to adjust that and something else. But it was hydraulic. As long as it's bled correctly, nothing's going to happen unless that line breaks. And so, excuse me, I would almost want to say that it's like if they're going to do something like that, that it's going to be some kind of hydraulic activated, button press or maybe even electronic. I don't know, man. I would be.
Well, you didn't hear anything from me about it, so I'll put the bug in the air. But I'm excited. I think Recluse has a lot of cool things coming down the pipe. I think they're focused on motocross and some of the stuff they got coming there. Just a really unique company. And this weekend, I actually had a cool opportunity. I shot kind of a commercial for them. I had a little idea to do something different. As far as industry stuff goes, and I said, hey, I want to do a testimonial with all your riders on what they think about the product and why they run the product. And I'll tell you what, man, there's not a lot of guys out there industry-wise. I mean, you look at just our standards today. Most guys they'll run what they can get sponsored by, or they'll ride what they can afford, or however it goes. But you've got a core group of guys that run Recluse products simply because of how loyal they are to the company and how loyal the company is to them. And it's really neat to see that. And, I think you get that with companies like Fly Racing and Dale Spangler. And I think you get that with these guys at Recluse, to where you have a product and these guys want to stand behind it no matter what. And, you could call up Recluse and say, man, I don't like the way this works. And they'll do anything in their power to make sure that it's working perfectly the way it's supposed to. So it's just neat because all these riders I couldn't get anybody to. I mean, these guys
Right.
ride that clutch by choice. Somebody doesn't come to them and say, "Hey, pay you to run this." They call Recluse. They say, "I want to try this. I want to run it." And their rider support develops a certain system for their type of riding, and it's just really neat how Zach and all the guys, Austin, have all developed such a great system over there. Patrick Kohler was the one who started it all as far as that rider support goes, and just neat to see that. I learned a lot shooting
dude.
that commercial. It was cool.
Okay, so overall, I just want to know, like, give it a star of 1 to 10 of your weekend in Vegas, and then I want to know your number one highlight from the trip, and then your number one low light, because everybody has a low light in Vegas, I can imagine.
Oh man! All right, so highlight for sure was let's see, Saturday night after the race. As usual, we have the Alligator Bar party. Where all of us, everybody
Did
gets
Destry
together,
Abbott
has
keep
a
his
great
shirt on is
time.
my main
All the
question.
no shirt off from Destry at this point. I think he was still pretty tired from racing Baja. So Destry did make an appearance, but just a great crowd. I'm pretty sure that we came back through. We officially left the Alligator Bar at about 5:20, I want to say, in the morning. And there are some names that will remain nameless that were
As
still
they
there going
should.
strong at that time. So, yep, and as far as the low goes, I have a pretty specific low, actually. I talked to Spangler about this today on the phone. He asked me a similar question. I think that, we had a good time Saturday night, and it led on in the morning for sure. And so as we woke up, Josh Buell decided to come back in our room. There's no direct explanation for why he didn't sleep in our room, but that can be left open to interpretation. And Josh Buell came in our room at about 8:30, so about an hour of sleep, and woke us up and said, "It's time to get on the road, bitches."
Shit is happening.
And, so as we're in the road, or as we're getting out, we roll ourselves out of bed, and we're like, we got a little bit of a drive ahead of us, and man, we make it downstairs, and we're just zombies trying to get out of our hotel, and our truck comes up from valet, and we get it, and man, I think there was probably 4 bathroom stops between the hotel and about 10 miles outside of Vegas by the NASCAR track. And so our final stop was to get gas. And this is where the low comes in.
It gets lower, folks.
We're getting gas at this gas station. Oh, it keeps getting lower. This is the final day to head home. And so we're sitting there, and we're trying to get gas. And we get the gas, we go in, and we're like, man, we're not going to eat for about 4 or 5 hours. So we look around, and there's this buffet in this ghetto gas station.
There's nothing good about this.
And we're like, right? Well, no, I mean, it's rough enough that we're at a gas station. But so we're like, all right, let's just grab some food before we get on the road. And, I'm probably still, I don't think I can blow the legal limit at this point. So I was not driving by any means at, 9:30 in the morning now at this time.
Very responsible. I'm proud of you.
So I wasn't completely comprehending where we were fully. But as we sit down and we decide to go to the buffet, this is really where the humor comes out of it for myself. I think back to it. And as we all go to the buffet and come back, I distinctly remember looking at my roommate, Brian, and he is eating a bowl of chicken noodle soup with applesauce and chocolate pudding as his two sides. I look over across, and Josh Buell is eating prime rib with a waffle and hash browns, and he's pouring au jus sauce that he thinks is syrup on his waffle. And out of my plate, I've got fried chicken and breakfast and biscuits and gravy and some scrambled eggs. And I remember I looked up at one point. I said, "Man, these scrambled eggs taste like bleach." Josh Buell is taking his last bite of the scrambled eggs on his plate. I mean, he had a mountain of them. And he's like, "Yeah, you're right. They didn't taste that good."
You're like, I need substance.
And oh man, at that point, we could have left to get up and leave, but I'm pretty sure one of us got up to go get seconds, and we all followed. So that was definitely the low point of the trip, following a 7-hour drive home, which was a complete adventure of its own. And yeah, man, that wraps up our weekend. It was just a lot of fun. You know, this motorcycle industry is really one big family. And endurocross, if anybody ever gets a chance to go out to an endurocross race as a fan or as a rider, to be able to hang out with all the guys after the race, it really is. I mean, you could just be some kid off the street. You can go up and talk to Taddy Blazusiak, and just everybody interacts so well. And I don't think there's a motorcycle community like that anywhere in the country or in the world besides off-road specifically, man. It's just a blast. And to get everybody in the same place at the same time, I don't even think it has to be in Vegas. You know, everybody's going to have fun and everybody's going to, do what they do.
One, it makes me extremely jealous that I wasn't there to partake in any of the partying, but I don't know if I would have been able to make it at all these little events that you keep talking about. And I'm kidding. I would have loved to have tried to make it. It would have been absolutely awesome, but unfortunately, it didn't happen. So maybe next year. I mean, I can keep saying that, right?
Well, you know, we definitely missed you. We definitely missed you. And there's one thing that I totally forgot. You're gonna love this. So we're in the room on Friday. Yes, absolutely. So we're in the room on Friday night, and we're getting ready to kind of go out. And for whatever reason, we've all been drinking a little bit, and we realize that the Latino Grammys are on TV, and so the TV show, like none of us are realizing. But they have this to follow Latino Grammys, hashtag Latino Grammys. And so I got this bright idea that whatever photos we take for the rest of the night, we're going to hashtag Latino Grammys. So if anybody gets the bright idea to hashtag Latino Grammys, unfortunately, Enrique Iglesias and Jennifer Lopez are not the two most famous people on the Latino Grammys. The Alliance Off-Road crew, I believe, took over the hashtag for the
next time that we actually go to any kind of event and turn shit up and the volume goes to 11, we'll just do the Seat Time Live hashtag. Shit will just get absolutely crazy.
I like it. And, you know, I think that we have a new thing. I think Dale Spangler will appreciate this as he's listening to this tomorrow in his office. But I think we're going to start calling it hashtag hijacking. And we're just going to start hashtag adding random junk photos of dirt bikes to them. So I don't know if we're going to start a new trend with this or not, but I feel like it's got some weight to it.
As I would say about my pants on a Saturday evening, that absolutely has some weight to it, and I think we can make that happen. So, yes, I'm totally in. We're gonna make that happen. Okay, so quickly though, we had the technical difficulties with you kind of falling out there for a little bit. I did kind of recap some of the smaller highlights that I kind of captioned from the week. So I'm gonna rattle them off to you. I've got 3 of them for you. I would like to get your input on each of them. I'm gonna say all 3, and then we will let you talk. Are you ready? Okay. So David Knight launches his own money. Technically, it's not his own money, but he is now on a coin on the Isle of Man actual currency. So that's 1. Second, 16-year-old beat Graham Jarvis at the Roof of Africa this past weekend. So that's 2. Third is at the J-Day Off-Road. The first race of the series is going to be in Florida the Saturday start of Bike Week. So of all of those things, I want to know what you think about them.
All right, so recapping. First one, David Knight's coin. Am I surprised? Absolutely not. The guy deserves his own money. He's David Knight. I mean, it shouldn't be a coin. It should be like a gold bar.
Solid.
That's my only input on that. Let's see. The second one of a 16-year-old winning the Roof of Africa. No, you know, that's just amazing.
Yes.
Like, straight up, it just shows that there's talent out there. Great. You watch Graham Jarvis ride a dirt bike, and I mean, it blows you away. But there's just these kids out there, man, that this is all they do. I mean, it's with the progression of any sport, you're going to have young athletes coming through. And as a sport grows, these athletes are going to get younger. I mean, I look back specifically to when I lived in Southern California. I was really good friends with a guy named Randy, and Randy's kid liked to skateboard. Well, Randy's kid ended up being Ryan Sheckler. You know, I mean, just one of the freaking gnarliest skateboarders you've ever seen. You know, and it's just like, here's this kid that was so young and up and coming that all these older guys were just like, what is going on? And I think we have to expect that in our sport coming up. I think that our rider levels are going to, I mean, you look at it with kids like Cincerello and stuff like that. I mean, when these kids hit what we determine as the actual pro class or the mainstream, I mean, look out, man. It's only getting faster. The bikes are getting better, but the talent, what these kids are comprehending these days and the accessibility that they have to the knowledge on top of the ability to do these things, it blows me away. And finally, what was the last thing?
The off-road program is now going to have a Florida race, that Saturday right before the bike week.
All I can say to that is I'll see you there. Let's do it, because those boys at J-Day, man, rocking it. I'm down 100%. So I think we should just make a trip out of it, make a story out of it, and have some fun.
And see if we can do something for people.
Now, what do you think about this Baja situation, man? JCR wrapping it up again. Did you talk about that while I was having my
talk about it a little bit, man. I thought it was interesting. I mean, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal for the fact that JCR comes away with another win. You know, it was, it's funny because of the fact that KTM really was trying to put a big hoorah into this, with Kurt Caselli and everybody, and picking this big team and stuff, and trying to get the 250, trying to get the 500, trying to get the 1,000. And it's unfortunate, that Quinn Cody broke his leg, broke his femur, but even when he broke his femur, they were still behind. It's like, I think there's something to be said with the fact that the JCR guys, they know what the heck they're doing when it comes to desert racing. Like, they know how to do that. So,
yeah. Absolutely. I think, I sat down, I had a really good talk with Mike Brown in Vegas. Mike, obviously, he ran the course and came right back up to race. And, Mike's a good friend and whatnot. And, the way he put it was, we just need to come back more prepared. The honest truth about when you're talking about a team led by one of the biggest stars of Baja, Johnny Campbell, these are guys that live, breathe, and sleep Baja. David Camo, a good friend of mine, he's recently joined the crew with JCR, and Dave has been down in San Clemente for the past year just preparing for this, and so it's one of those things where these guys, they all go into it with an idea of what it is, but I think JCR and the boys, Robbie Bell and Destry and all those guys on the Cowie team. These were fierce competitors, but at the end of the day, I think that JCR came on top with just more knowledge of the peninsula. I think they just had it figured out. They knew where things are. They know what lines to take. They know what routes to take, and they end up winning. And that's honestly, when you've got a leader like Johnny Campbell, I think that's kind of, he's the flagship of that program, and he's got amazing riders that have been able to work with that and take what it is.
Well, hopefully,
so.
I don't by any means want to come across as like a total KTM fanboy, even though I am a KTM fanboy. But the thing is I'm glad that it always felt like it was kind of one-sided when it came to Baja. That you were kind of expected to see the same guys.
Yeah.
It felt like they had the same amount of money, or maybe a little bit more, maybe a little less, but the same names kind of keep winning. So I'm kind of excited to see more, I guess, programs putting money towards an actual Baja contingency. So I'm just happy to see that, and to see where that kind of competition then maybe turns into innovation, and how things can continue to grow and gain traction in the Baja scene. I would love to be able to one day go down and do something like that. So I don't know, it'd be great to be able to do something like that.
No, and absolutely. I mean, I understand where you're coming from without calling you a ridiculous KTM fanboy, which you are. I will say that, for years, it's I wouldn't say it's easy to win Baja when there isn't competition. I mean, there's still guys, but I will say that the competition has has come as high as it possibly could this year or in the past 2 years with the involvement of KTM and the involvement of Bell's team and Precision's team and these guys stepping up to the plate. I feel like for the first time in several years that the Honda team actually has a huge level of competition that they have to be able to go against. And I mean, mark my words, man. I think if KTM spends their time doing their homework and gets down there, and I mean, you're talking about a program that's had 20 years to do what they're doing, and that's why they still dominate. They spend a lot of time, and I think KTM getting right into it. They're going to be able to figure it out, and give it a year or two, man. We're going to see some awesome racing, and I'm pumped about it. I mean, I can't wait to go down there, and I think you're right. I think we just need to make a fun trip of it.
What we need to do is find a way to become rich quickly, and that way we can just travel the world and report on all of these awesome races.
Well, I have a solid idea. You might want to, I mean, you with your awesome business and technical background, you might want to let me know what you think of this. But as of right now, the Colombians control much of the cartel influence in the U.S. and North America. And what I was thinking was that maybe we could, start like an alternative cartel for British Columbia, and we like the British Columbian cartel. And I feel like that we could really step it up in more of a Canadian fashion against the actual Colombians. I don't know what exactly we would import, but I feel like we could figure that out to the point where it was very lucrative.
Where I do not think that this would work out. Not that I think you have a bad idea. Any idea is a good idea. It just depends on whether idea is actually going to be fruitful or not. Now, this is why I think this idea will not be fruitful. Okay, so British Columbia. What would our main import be? Honestly, what do most people think of? They think of weed. They think of marijuana, pot, the stuff you smoke and you get high on. What happens when you do that? You become chill. You become very relaxed. Now, the Colombians, not the British Columbians, they import cocaine. What happens when you import or when you do cocaine? You get jacked up. You get crazy. And you shoot motherfuckers. Now, see, the problem is like, so their army, if we were to go cartel against cartel, like Colombians versus British Columbians, their cartel is going to be all jacked up on cocaine, while our cartel will be a bunch of potheads. And it's legal in Colorado and Washington now anyway, so like half our importation's gone. So,
you know what? I'm not going to sit here with a crushed dream.
I'm not trying to put holes in your diaphragm, but I'm just saying.
I feel like you just brought some true light to the situation. I've never been to British Columbia and seen a guy like Don Johnson rolling around. And I mean, you're right. You're absolutely right, man. The level of aggression, we just couldn't bring it from a British Columbian standpoint.
Though, there's a couple of times I have driven around Vancouver, there are some crazy-ass Asian women drivers. Now, we have those in the States, but I'm just saying, they're like batshit crazy Asian drivers.
Well, maybe we could put them to work for us on the front.
I like it.
They could be our transport.
I like it.
You never know.
Oh my gosh, I'm dying over here. Okay, well, we've had a good time talking, but I want to go ahead and mention the fact that we have talked about Fly Racing and some of our friends that are affiliates of Fly Racing. That the honest truth is that Fly Racing is a partner, and they do support Seat Time. And one, I really appreciate that. Two, they're an awesome company. So should I think that you should go check them out? Absolutely, I should maybe think that you should check them out. Do I want you to? Absolutely. FlyRacing.com. Please go check out their website. Check out all the gear they've got coming out. Obviously, 2012 is wrapping up. If you're looking for Christmas gifts for any of your riders, any of your buddies, please, this is a great place to go. Maybe pick up a little bit of gear. Now, I'm going to click through some different things here. I haven't worked out this whole system just yet, but they just released their new helmet today. It's like the 3.4, but they say it and spell it all weird. I don't really know what's going on with that. I don't do the marketing. That's other people that we'll make fun of later. But it's a sweet looking helmet. It definitely matches their new light hydrogen gear with the kind of the logo that they've got going on. So I just wanted to throw this up here for you guys. Check out this new helmet. I think it's worth looking into. It's like $160 retail, I think. So maybe you know somebody at a shop, get you 10, 15, 20% off, get yourself a new helmet. I think it's pretty bitchin'. And if you slap a couple Seat Time stickers on there, you're going to look much more freaking awesome. Right, Brian?
Yeah, no, agreed. Word on the street is that they have been developing this program, a new helmet with NASA, and they have special space aluminum
Aluminium.
in the helmet
Yeah,
bolts.
it's
So it's
British aluminum.
ultralight
It's
and
aluminium.
fantastic. Yeah, sorry. Thank you for your English correction on that.
Maybe
You're correct.
I am. Maybe I'm not. But so Brian, if we wanted to find you, follow you, and do anything social with you, you know, maybe a little handy every now and again, how would we find you?
Well, you can hit me up on the old Instagram where I tend to be fairly prevalent. We're always taking pictures of our random adventures and posting them on there at Alliance Off Road. And you can hit us up on Twitter at Brian Elliott AMM, or just Facebook. Just I don't know, I'm one of the Brian Elliott's on there somewhere, and we've got our Alliance Off Road Facebook page as well as our Cam Pro Facebook page, and anywhere else, man. You know, just you can always just call me.
Give me my
Just if you need me,
digits.
just call me. So
My digits. Hey, Shaniqua. Shaniqua,
Throw them
what's
digits
up?
out
I almost
there.
did. I tried to call you on Google Voice, and we actually left you a message, so you'll get to check that out later. Yeah,
Sweet,
oh,
you
I
got
did.
my
I recorded your
voicemail on
voicemail.
there.
This is Brian. This is Brian.
Nice,
Elliott.
nice.
I have
Hope-
my penis in my hand.
Oh.
Would you like to leave me a message?
I was really going for that Brian Deegan broed out Southern California voice on my voicemail. So it was more like, hey, yeah, what's up? This is Brian. If you want to commit some sick ramps with me or rally cars,
I
just
like
give
how
me
you
a call.
immediately go a little more high pitched because he like does have that little bit more high pitched voice than you would expect him to have.
Well, you know, Nebraska, it's a tough state for really deep voices.
They don't
I
make
guess,
them very
so you never
manly
know.
up there, do they? All right, so if you thought anything you heard tonight, maybe even saw a little bit of, was funny, definitely go check us out some more. Seatime.co is where all the shenanigans live. You can find all of our past episodes, things like that. Okay, so if you wanted to maybe hit us up socially, facebook.com/seattime is where we're at on Facebook. You can find us there. Hit us up, make us feel awesome. If you wanted to tweet us real hard, twitter.com/seattime_CEO is our Twitter handle. Tweet us real hard. That's what we like. We like it dirty. We like it hard. We like it all the time. So that's it. Episode 64. Technical difficulties out the ass, but you know what? It wouldn't be Seat Time without some freaking technical difficulties. I can tell you that. The way the past couple episodes have going. So, Brian Elliott, I really appreciate you taking the time, figuring it out, being here with us.
Hey, man, thanks for having me. I always enjoy spending time with you on a Tuesday night. So definitely, thanks for everybody that's listening. Again, thanks to all of our great sponsors, the guys at Fly, Flex Bars, Yamaha Ampro, you know, all of our boys out there who love helping. So I'm just pumped to be a part of the
Hell
program,
yeah,
man.
can't wait
Thanks
for us to
thanks
get
for
in
having
trouble
me.
over that recluse shit. Let's figure it out. All right. Thank you very much. This has been Seat Time. Remember to always enjoy a pint full of awesome. We'll see you next week for episode 65, where I heard a rumor that John Day will actually be on and come talk about his series. So thank you very much, everybody. Take it easy. Peace. Bye. Hey, hey, hey.
Hey, hey.